She's a sixth-generation Washingtonian and a former SMYAL board member, so please welcome former Deputy Mayor Courtney Snowden.
Well, good afternoon. Oh, y'all know a little bit about the Black church, so we're going to get this call and response things working just fine. All right. Or as I like to say when I start any remarks, hey, y'all. You like my dress? Hey, on this side, on this side. Here you go. It's a little handmade tail chic. I'm getting prepared. Democrats, please vote. Sorry, SMYAL. So I am here because I got an amazing phone call from a good friend that said, we think that our community needs to continue to hear a little bit about why you believe the work that SMYAL does is just so important. I have had the honor for the last about 4 years to serve my hometown. How many Native Washingtonians in the room? That's right. How many Washingtonians that have lived here more than 25 years? We have seen our city change a lot, right? Who would have thought that the streets of H Street or MLK with an African-American owned juice bar and a store called Check It, owned by some pretty amazing young people who saved themselves from the streets and now are business owners right here in our hometown. Who would have thought our city would change so significantly? And it has, in some really amazing and positive ways. And some things remain completely true, that SMYAL's existence is necessary. 18 years ago, I can't believe I'm about to say this in front of a room full of gay men, I was 21 years old, and I was introduced to SMYAL. And when I first walked into the building, I walked in with a good friend who worked in then Congresswoman Tammy Baldwin's office with me, now Senator. And I couldn't decide if I wanted to be a SMYAL youth or a SMYAL volunteer. They just looked like they were having so much fun voguing. And I didn't know how to do it, so they taught me. It turns out I'm a shady queen. But what I learned, as many of you have learned today, is that them being lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning, or queer, God, that's a lot, wasn't actually the problem that they confronted first in their lives. Many were housing unstable. Some had parents who, while may have been ready to deal with them coming out, were not ready to deal with the significant pressures that it is raising children, and I know because I have two. Now, I was very lucky when I came out. I had two parents who taught me that being in my skin was probably the best thing in the world. Thank you, Mom and Dad, who are here. They prepared me for what they didn't know, which was that I was going to come out my first year of college. There's some funny stories there, but what I do remember most is sitting in my dorm room realizing that, oh, I was in love with a girl. Her name was Lisa. She was from Rockford, Illinois. Native Washingtonian. She was from Rockford, Illinois. Some of y'all followed that. And for about 30 days, I forgot what my parents taught me, which was that my skin was the best skin to be in. That I never had to walk around with my head down. I never had to be scared to tell the world, or most importantly, my parents, who I was. Then, what pulled me out of that, oh, important part of this story, I always knew that I was going to run for office. Thank you, Sheila. I always knew that public service was in my future. And during that 30-day period, I had some reckoning to do. Can openly LGBTQI Z people run for office and do it successfully? Well, remember, this was some years ago. But I walked into a room in Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin. Anybody from Wisconsin here? Mm-hmm. And there was a woman standing across the room, and someone whispered in my ear, she's the first openly LGBT person to ever be elected to Congress. Her name was Tammy Baldwin. Shaking, I walked up to her and I said, I don't care if I have to staple papers and sit in the corner in your office, I will work for you. And so sweetly, she took my resume. I'm crying, Tammy's not. And who knows what happened with that resume that day. But I called her office and I said, I met Tammy and she said I could work for her. She said I could staple papers in her office. She said if I wanted to sit in the corner, I could sit in the corner. That might have been a little hyperbole. They said, a woman named E.B. Nesbitt said to me, we don't have any more internships in the DC office, but the native Washingtonian wants to go back home for the summer, right? I end up in her district office, and Tammy did something that I will never be able to express my gratitude for. She let me follow her around the state and the district first, and then most of the state of Wisconsin, teaching me how to be the amazing public servant that she is and has always been. She taught me how to turn the corners of my lips up when I was on television, even if it was a sad topic, just to make sure I didn't have resting, you-know-what face. You like that, Dad? I didn't curse. You like that, right? Representation has always mattered. Tammy, being in Congress, helped me to see that I could be a public servant and do it with 110% of who I am. Some of y'all are 120. There's somebody walking around in a fur pink jacket. He might be doing 150. So I started my career in Tammy Baldwin's office, and then I moved on to an organization that many of us know and love under the leadership at the time of a woman who is here named Elizabeth Birch called the Human Rights Campaign. I went to GLSEN, I bounced around to a few nonprofits, and then I found a home at a place called the Rabin Group, and Robert Rabin is here, where I had the pleasure of learning things and being in rooms where they had not seen many people like me. I was the youngest, the most African American, and then sometimes the most lesbian thing they'd ever seen. Now, not at the firm, but for some of our clients. And it was there that reinforced this important reality that, again, representation matters. People need to see us. I remember when coming out, my grandmother said, I mean, it's all right that you gay, but do you really have to tell everybody? You gotta be on the front page of the paper and all that? Yes, I do, because representation matters. When we look at the videos that we saw today, when we hear from the young people from whom we've heard today, what I'm reminded of is that they need to see a path for themselves in us. They need to know that, yeah, it gets better, but it can get better with a great job, the ability to take care of your family, and a city that loves and supports all of who you are, which is why I'm so proud of the work that Mayor Bowser has done to make sure she has the most diverse cabinet in the history of the District of Columbia. How about that? Jeff Meridian and Sheila Reed. Now, I will tell you what makes me sad when I look at my city. What makes me sad when I look at my city is that the district had, at one point, was one of the first to have openly gay representation on its council. Did you know that? Not the first, but one of the first. Who was it? Do you remember? Jim Graham. And then who came after? David Catania. And who's there now? No one. But if you only look to the Victory Fund, I saw my Victory Fund friends here. Say hello, Victory Fund friends. They do have a Victory Fund endorsed candidate running for council right now. And she is slated to make history by becoming the first open lesbian ever to serve on our council, and the first African American of any of the letters to serve on our council. Now, allies are important, like Anita Bonds, who I think is still here. But so that I don't have to wear this very cute dress again, please make sure that in 23 days you vote. Because I watched The Handmaid's Tale and it scares me. It scares me. So when you look on your ballot, I want you to think about my good friend Dion Reader, who will represent for these young people, who will allow them to see themselves in her and celebrate what I know will be some fantastic success for our community to have an LGBT voice at the table. Now, just a couple more words about SMYAL and then I'll sit down. I have seen close up, personally in rooms that were very quiet, the difference that SMYAL makes in the lives of young people. I have seen them stand in the way between the gun to a head or a bad job opportunity or a really mean person. They are standing in the way of a young person making a really terrible decision for themselves and their lives. And without our support, our young people will not succeed. In 25 years, we will not be able to fill a room just like this with people like you, with the next generation of leaders, activists, geniuses. Now, I know you gave. So the other thing is, now that I'm no longer deputy mayor, I can do a whole bunch of stuff that I couldn't do before, like tell you about great candidates or ask for money. And I know we've just given $50,000, but I know this room because I've been with you at JR's and back in the day it was with you at Chaos, so I know that you have a little bit more money to give. And so I don't know if y'all are gonna put that TikTok back up here, but you should. Let's see if we can get it to $75,000, friends. Now I'm gonna do this, my dad is gonna think this is funny. I owe him a little bit of money. Dad, I'm gonna pay you back. And I'm gonna give $1,000 to SMYAL. Will you join me in giving $1,000 to SMYAL today? Because we know that if we don't do this, if we don't dig a little deeper, if we don't forego 5 or 6 drinks, our waistlines won't appreciate it, and our kids won't. So please make sure to dig as deeply as you can and give. Can y'all, I'm not gonna threaten to stay on stage, because I actually might twerk. But let's get that number up to $75,000 before we leave, friends. Thank you so much, and thank you, Sultan, for the great work you've done, and thank you so much, SMYAL.